Good morning, everybody. I'm here with my friend Mr. Lion and one of my most cherished objects, my trains. I think many of you know that I always like to draw trains, and that's an indication of what our story is about today. So Mr. Lion says hi. Good morning, everybody. And Mr. Train says toot toot. We're off to Timbuctoo. This is another story from my collection of friendly tales, and it's a golden book collection. And the story today is A Train to Timbuctoo. That's a hard word to say sometimes. Clackety-clack, clackety-clack, there was a big train. And clickety-click, 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 there was a little train, a very little train. They were on their way home to Timbuctoo, and they had just left the town of Kalamazoo. Slam bang, grease the engine, throw out the throttle, and give it the gun. There was a big engineer who drove the big engine, and slam bang, grease the engine, throw out the throttle, and give it the gun. There was a little engineer who drove the little train. So there's the big train driven by the big engineer. And there's the little train, driven by the little engineer. When the big engine went through a tunnel, the big engineer blew his big whistle, woo, woo, woo. When the little engine went through the tunnel, the little engineer blew his whistle, wee, wee, wee. And clackety-clack, clickety-click, throw out the throttle and give it the gun. Woo, woo, woo. And wee. Sounds like fun. Out from the big tunnel came the big engine with the big engineer and the big coal car. There he is, coming right out of the tunnel. And the bigger baggage car and the big passenger car. There's quite a bit of stuff going on in that train. And the big dining car, and the big sleeping car, and the little caboose. There's the dining car, and the sleeping car, and just a little bit of the caboose coming out of the tunnel. And then out from the little tunnel came the little engineer, and the little engineer was followed by, the little engine came out with the little engineer and the little coal car. And there is the little engine and engineer and the little coal car. And it looks like a pesky squirrel too. And the little baggage car and the little passenger car and the little dining car and the little sleeping car and the little caboose. So there are all the cars coming out of the little tunnel. And those kids look like they're having fun in the dining car. They've got candy canes. Clickety-click, clickety-click, clackety-clack, clackety-clack, woo, woo, wee, wee, wee. That great big train and that little tiny train went roaring by. Then clackety-clack, clackety-clack, the big train came to a big bridge over a big river. And there's the big train on the big bridge crossing the big river. There's ships in the river. Lots of activity going on in that picture. What fun. And over the big bridge went the big engine with the big engineer, the big coal car, and the big baggage car, and the big passenger car, and the big dining car, and the big sleeping car, and the little caboose. Then, clickety-click, clickety-click, the little train came to the little bridge, over a little river, over a little tiny river. And clickety-click, clickety-click, over the little bridge went the little engine with the little engineer, and the little coal car, and the little baggage car, and the little passenger car, and the little dining car, and the little sleeping car, and the little caboose. And there's a lot of activity going on in this picture too. Clickety-click, wee, wee. And we've got some sheep and a kayaker in that little river. And clickety-click, clickety-click, clackety-clack, clackety-clack, pocketa, 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 pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. The trains rolled on towards Timbuctoo, far down the track from Kalamazoo, until far away against the sky there was a great big railroad station, and far away against the sky there was a little railroad station. Woo, woo, wee, wee. As ringing their bells, dong, dong, ding, 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 that great big train with a puff, 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 and that little tiny train with a piff, piff, piff. Hi. I think we've got to find books that are easier to read. So, whew, take some practice. They all came home to Timbuctoo. And if you switch the names of the towns in the front of the story, you get back to Kalamazoo. From Kalamazoo to Timbuctoo, it's a long way down the track. And from Timbuctoo to Kalamazoo, it's just as far to go back. From Kalamazoo and back, a long, long way. And a long, long way, and a long, long way down the track. From Kalamazoo to Timbuctoo. From Timbuctoo and back. Well, that's the story for today, my friend, Mr. Lion. And I want to wish you guys a fun, fun day. Hope you get outside and get some fresh air. And I hope to see you back here tomorrow. Bye now.